Hey, Chris Jenkins, credentialed member of the media, covering the Carolina Panthers for Charlotte Vibe. Today, the Carolina Panthers just unfortunately had another loss, 2 games in a row now, falling to the Miami Dolphins. Final score in this game, Carolina Panthers 10, Miami Dolphins 33. Way too much to way too little. Lots of questions from watching this game today, and I'm not going to lie, I can't even answer all these questions today. I feel like I have to be like a coach that says, give me a day to really soak it in, watch through the film, help determine where the blame goes. But there are certainly some decisions to be made going forward for this team because there are lots of things that are wrong. So I'm going to try to touch on them all, give you some insight, let you know what I think, help you form your opinion about this team going forward and what we got to do to get things right. So Coach Matt Rule, first person to talk to the media after the game. So I'm going to go touch on Coach Rule, Cam Newton, then I'll go over some stats and things like that. And as always, we are live broadcasting for one reason only, and that is so that we can be interactive and answer your questions and talk to you about the things that you want to talk about and get answers for you. So please go ahead, start loading me up with those questions. I promise once I get through my spiel, I will take the time to answer all of your questions, all right? That's what I'm here for. So appreciate everybody that tunes in, whether you're watching live or the replay. Please consider hitting that like button and that subscribe button. Both of those things will help us to grow, which will help us to do things that I love to do, which is go to the people that you want me to talk to and get those questions answered. So, Coach Rule, he had to make a decision late in this game because we were getting behind by so much on what he was going to do with that quarterbacking situation with Cam Newton. Now, as you see, I'm from the home studio, so today I'll watch the game from home, which sometimes is a little challenging with everybody wanting to chime in, like, hey, I got to focus. But, my son was talking about, hey, get Cam out of there. I think he was saying that early in the first half, and let's get P.J. Walker in there. So I said, no, we can't. One thing about just putting P.J. Walker into the game, and remember why he's a backup quarterback, that he still has experience to gain. And if you put P.J. Walker in there where you know they just got to throw the ball, you're going to run into the same hazards that you're going to run into with Cam Newton. Not ordinarily, but Cam today was having too many turnovers. And that's something that P.J. Walker has been very straightforward with the media about, is that he has struggles with the long ball in terms of like trying to take the big shot and making the right decision about the timing of that. And we saw how he played today. But nevertheless, P.J. Walker did not go into the game until the fourth quarter with about 10 minutes left. The reasoning for that, and I get it, was that P.J. has a much better grasp on the 2-minute offense than Cam does. Now, I said during the game when early in the first half, my son was talking about P.J. Walker going in there, I didn't feel like he was going to do it. And it wasn't saying like whether or not I feel like he should or he should not. But what happened with Sam Darnold early in the season? Coach likes to give these quarterbacks a chance to get themselves out of it. He doesn't want to take a starting quarterback out. Whether you believe it or not, that's what he typically does. So I did not feel that P.J. Walker was going to come in early, and it held up. He didn't bring him in until the fourth quarter when he felt like he really needed somebody who could run the 2-minute offense and give them an opportunity to win. Now, that totally didn't happen because P.J. Walker became out of much more stress, dropping back, throwing the ball than Cam Newton did. But hey, he tried what he thought would give them a good chance of success. So with Cam Newton's setback today, I think it's safe to call 2 interceptions a little bit of a setback in what you thought that you were going to be getting out of Cam Newton. Coach Rule today said that he's not making a change right now. They made a nice contract with Cam. They believe in Cam, certainly for this short term. But no, I would not expect for him to say, Cam, you get out of there. Because right now he still can say, I can't get everything out of Cam because he doesn't even know all the playbook. When we need to suddenly in a game go away from the initial game plan, Cam is a little bit handicapped in that because he doesn't know everything. He only knows what the game plan is. So he's going to stick with Cam Newton, and I'm not mad about that. I think that's a good decision to stick with Cam Newton right now for this next game coming up. They have a bye week, which I think is well-deserved at this point, having played 12 games straight, and then they'll come back and play another home game, I believe, against Atlanta. Please don't jump on me if that's incorrect. I hadn't looked at the schedule. But I do know all the teams that we have remaining. And it's a tough schedule. We got New Orleans in there, which could be a 50-50. I mean, honestly, all these games, You want to say that they could be tough, but we could be in all these games that we have remaining if our defense plays well and if our offense doesn't turn the ball over. So we have the pieces to be competitive in all the games that are remaining. Coach Rule mentioned that these games this year, we have not played them. They've been worse than last year. And I agree. Last year, we were in games a lot that we lost. And, it seems like this year we will have games where we're just completely overwhelmed by the other team. My opinion, it belongs, the finger point goes both to the coaching staff and the players. I feel like it goes to both. To what extent, I don't know yet. That's something I want to think on, but I feel like a loss like today goes, there's finger pointing to go around a lot. Hey, continue to leave me those questions and comments. I will certainly get to them. That's why I'm live, so I appreciate it. I just want to go through a few more things. Coach Rule today in his presser said that he was not angry. And I want to put that in the context before people say, why is he, he should be. I do appreciate from a coaching standpoint how Matt Rule just doesn't come in after a loss or after a victory and just goes hog wild and giving praise or go crazy and giving criticism. He likes to take a moment to be methodical in his analysis of the game and his analysis of the team before he really speaks about what's going on. So I personally like that calm, that consistency that he has after the game in terms of how he wants to approach things and evaluate. Because I feel like if you just are angry and you're emotional, you're not properly evaluating things. So he said that today. And anything else you want to talk about? Last thing I want to talk about from the Matt Rule part is that he mentioned today, and he said this before, and I want you all to think about this because I feel like one of the things that we could forget about, not giving an excuse, but just saying, hey, we always want to know, why is this happening? Why is this happening? We still have a very young team. We have one of the youngest teams in the NFL. And with the young teams, you can have a sense of panic when things aren't going how you think they should be going. And Coach Rule has mentioned that a few times about this team panicking and things kind of coming apart. And when guys panic, they might try to do too much instead of just doing their job. And so that's something to think about in terms of why, not excuse, not an alibi, but why do we get some of the things happening that we have happening? And I would imagine it's a huge challenge by a coaching staff that doesn't have a lot of NFL experience. Just making a note that I want to have and maybe talk to coach about. All righty. Actually, I'm going to jump and glance at these comments here real quick. ZY, when do reporters get to talk to David Tepper? Coach, owners can make themselves available prior to the end of the season, but typically owners will make themselves available at the beginning of the season and then again at the end of the season. So I do not imagine that we will have a chance to talk with David Tepper until the end of the season. Tell him to fire Matt Rule. I can't ask him that way, but I can ask about personnel changes that they are being considered. All right. And then I'm going to jump. All right. Check a tweet from Trey Boston. So I'm going to, before I go into the Cam Newton press conference and what he said, I'm going to see what Trey Boston said. All right, because I did not see a treat. Wow, I said treat. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. What is Trey Boston's Twitter account? Geez. Hold on. I'm trying to find Trey Boston's Twitter account. Here we go. I have found it. And let me see if I can find out what you're talking about. He says, Can you? I'm assuming this is a tweet you're talking about. Can y'all tell me two actual good teams we beat this season? Give me one, if not two. We have a good roster, need a couple of pieces, but come on, man, no reason we should be this bad and not in the playoffs with this schedule. I think that's what you're talking about. But again, I'm going to come back. Taylor, let me know if that was a tweet that you're talking about. Let me go ahead and get through the Cam Newton interview. Cam spoke with the media today, and he spoke about losing their footing in this game and not really being able to get into a groove and losing their footing, saying that they had too many 3-and-outs today. And I can even talk about this stat. How much did we convert on third downs today? The Carolina Panthers converted 4 of 14 for 30% basically on their third down conversions. But he said we had too many of those. And he also feels like his lack of knowing the full playbook was exposed today due to the situations. And what is that situation? Well, the situation was Miami coming out and really, giving it to the Carolina Panthers where they're behind, further behind, and then really behind. And, he knows the game plan, but when you need to deviate from the game plan because it's not working, then he's not the guy to do that. And, we saw Coach Rule pulling. Could that have happened sooner? Well, I don't know. The first half was not too terrible, but the terrible thing in the first half was more so Cam with his interceptions, more so than the play calling. But he said that his situation got exposed a little bit. But Cam, you do have a bye week where it's going to give you an opportunity to get into that playbook and know more about what's going on. And a question that I'm certainly going to ask Coach Rule tomorrow, press conference with Coach Rule is pretty early tomorrow, is they didn't, his thing was the identity of, hey, I want to run the ball 35 times a game. He said that many, many weeks ago. We started doing it, and now we've gotten away from running the ball that many times. So Cam and PJ threw the ball today 31 times. We ran the ball today 18 times. That is way not what the coach said that we need to do with this team. We have not been a team, and even with Sam, it's almost like a Sam Darnold thing completely over again. I'm not talking about tit for tat 100%, but I know as a fan base, it's tough to continue to be like so excited about this team because we started out with Sam 3-0. And then what happens? The turnover monster and everything, just the wheels on the bus start to fall off, right? Cam Newton comes, has an invigorating game against the Arizona Cardinals in which we win. We lost the game to the Washington football team, but from a performance standpoint, 21 of 27, no turnovers. Hey, you still feel like we have a chance to win any given Sunday. Last week against Washington, you could really say the defense, right? And so then you come into this game, and then it's like the wheels on the bus have fallen completely off, where he has the 2 interceptions. He finished with a very poor pass rate. It was just terrible. And I know it's tough for you guys to play in base, and I'm going to do everything I can to get those questions answered for you. So please leave them in the comments. Let me know, and I will do my best to get those questions answered for you. Cam was asked about the interceptions, and he kind of paused for a second, and he said that he put the team in jeopardy too many times today with the way that he played with those throws, and yeah, you just I don't know. Let me go ahead and see if there's some more comments. Then I'm going to go over some stats and then spend the rest of the chat answering the questions from you all. All right. That's what I love to do. All right. Not too many questions are coming in, which is fine. So let me go ahead and go through some things that I want to go over real quick. Let's go ahead and talk about this game and look at some stats. All right. Let's go ahead and look at it. Cam Newton, 5 for 21 and 92 yards. So Cam did not even have 100 yards passing today. Cam had what was basically career lows, and game started with 5 completions. 2 turnovers isn't his most, but he had the 2 interceptions, and his passer rating. Look at this. His passer rating was 5.8. 5.8. Not really sure what you would need to do to get a passer rating worse than 5.8, but I can guarantee you anytime you have a passer rating that is not even double digits, that you're not going to win a game. Terrible, terrible performance. PJ Walker comes in. He does a little bit better. He's about 50% going 5 to 10, 87 yards, had a much higher average throwing the ball downfield. So for those of you who say, hey, PJ Walker's arm is better than Cam Newton, it could be, but it doesn't matter if the decision making in that is still not that great, right? But PJ Walker comes in, and it's like, Miami has been known to be a very good blitzing defense this season. And I don't know if they took it up a level or if the lineman just said, okay, well, this game's over and I'm tired of blocking. But PJ Walker was under so much more stress than Cam Newton was, getting sacked 4 times in the game. Cam only got sacked 1 time. Both of them, these guys threw an interception. So PJ threw an interception that takes you to 3 interceptions on a day. PJ had a passer rating of 40 point something. All right. So those are some stats there. Now, concern about Christian McCaffrey. I'm going to say this without much thought for the whole cap thing and the contracts and how those things work. We need a lot of pieces. I don't know what the draft looks like. I'm going to be up front. I'm just kind of going off the cuff of emotional responses right now. Man, I wish we could get a lot of good pieces for a Christian McCaffrey, right? Not saying that the guy's washed up by any means. By any means. He's phenomenal. But if we get a whole bunch of pieces for Christian McCaffrey, man, I don't know. Maybe this is just the moment of us losing. But anyway, Christian McCaffrey got dinged up today. And that is part of the reason I tweeted midway through the game about him not getting these targets on the receiving part. He wasn't able to really be much of himself after getting that ankle injured in I believe in the first half. Not exactly sure about that. But here's our stats for the rushing. Christian still had 10 carries, 35 yards, 3.5 yard average. Chuba Hubbard came in, got some reps. But overall, look at our rushing. We had 64 yards rushing. We had 18 carries on the day. 18, again, that's half of what coach said. Hey, that's a problem. It's a problem. We are not, Cam Newton's not knowing everything enough. We're not we have some good weapons, but things aren't going right. They aren't going right. Let's keep on going. Receivers. DJ Moore was number 1 in targets. And let me just go ahead and say this. I am a very honest reporter. I'm not afraid to say that I'm wrong. So during the game, I tweeted that DJ Moore uncharacteristically dropped the pass. And I wasn't seeing the game fully. I wasn't thinking about his full season. In fact, DJ Moore has had some trouble with drops this season, not to the extent of a Robbie Anderson. I guess that's what in the moment I was thinking about. But he's had some inconsistencies this year with catching. And but he did lead us in targets today with 10, only catching 4. But hey, DJ still had 100 yards. You try to find a good thing. He had 100 yards. Most of that came on one long play where he had 64 yards. So really, if you take that 64 out, not as good. But continuing on, I'm sorry to switch back and forth so many times with you here. Next leading was Amir Abdullah with 6 targets, only had 2 catches. Robbie Anderson, I don't even want to read the rest of this because basically when you look at this stat line, you'll see that Cam Newton was not accurate today. So I'm done reading that. Let's go ahead and jump over to the defense. Shaq Thompson had himself a pretty good game with 13 tackles. Dante Jackson with 11 tackles. Jeremy Chin, both Dante and Jeremy getting some pass deflection. So what about this defense today, Chris? What do you think about the defense? Now, I won't do third person on you guys. I feel like the defense was better today than last week. But I also feel like the defense, I don't know. I'm not even sure what I want to say here about the defense. I do know this. It seemed like, they can get worn out in a game. Whether they should or should not, they could be. And for me, where that started with this defense was Second half, the Panthers get the ball. So there's an opportunity to build on that 3 points that we were lucky enough to get at the end of the first quarter. Russ put a second on the clock to give Zane Gonzalez a chance to kick the field goal, which, by the way, Zane Gonzalez is doing awesome. Has not missed a field goal since maybe Dallas week 5. Been automatic. So shout out to my man Zane Gonzalez. But we got that 3 points at the end of the half. Second half, we get the ball back. We do terrible. And then Dolphins get the ball. And they go on an 80-yard drive that was – trying to find my notes. See if I can quickly find these notes to continue to talk. Oh, well, dang it, where'd it go? 80-yard drive. I think it was about 8 minutes off the clock. And they put up 7 points on the board, which just continues to put us in a deficit. And I know that has to be something that starts to just sap all the energy out of this team. I think I should have it. Yeah. 13 plays, 80 yards, 7 minutes, and 24 seconds. Does this defense want to win? Yes. Is this defense capable of winning? Yes. Are they trying to hold each other accountable? Yes. Did you see Brian Burns on television just being really, really animated, yelling and trying to get this team together? And it's the problem is it's almost like this. You put a Band-Aid here and it comes over here. You put a Band-Aid here, it comes over. And I'm blaming both. I'm blaming coaching and I'm blaming players. Blaming them both. That was the defense. All right, so that's it for what I wanted to ramble about. Got lots of other stuff that we could talk about. So let me just go ahead and go to the questions, all right? Going to the questions. That is why I go live. Going to the questions. Hey, guys, give me some good questions to ask Coach Rule tomorrow morning. Give me some good questions. I promise I'm going to be asking them for you. All right, let's continue to go. Time to hit the reset button, Chris. It's not the fact that we are 5-7, but how we got here. It all starts with Rule, in my opinion. It's time to restart. He's with too many times now. So do I think it's mostly Coach Rule and the coaching staff? No, I don't. I think Coach Rule certainly has a blame in this, but I don't put it solely on Coach Rule. And I don't say hit the reset button. I mean, what's hitting the reset button? Firing everybody? Coach Rule, Brady, David Snow, getting rid of all these guys and then continue to build. You do that, and unless you luck out and get some kind of genius, now you're setting yourself back many, many years and getting to where you want this organization to be. And do you know the next guy is the absolute best guy to do it? So I do say that you want to give the coach some years to get things going. And I feel like Coach Rule needs to make some, man, do people need to be fired? Wow. Yeah, see, that's where I get stuck, right? I feel like you got to give Rule one more year. I don't feel like he's terrible. I feel like a lot of these guys are young. The coaching staff is young. The players are young. So it's tough. This sucks. I mean, you have setbacks like these where you just feel like, I'll just blow it all up. But you do have to give things a chance to grow. You do have to give time for things to come to fruition before you just keep pulling the plug and letting things go out. So maybe you guys can change my mind, but that's currently how I feel. Ernest, I'll show you a comment. Fire Matt Rule. Rule has had too many starting quarterbacks. It has a lift on every one of us. P.S. I'm not even mad at Cam. Too many starting quarterbacks? Well, it's kind of like once you miss in the middle of the season on your quarterback, it's not but so much you can do. But you could say, okay, we missed on Teddy Bridgewater. Is this more Matt Rule? Is it more the GM? You missed on Sam Darnold. That's 2. Then you miss on Cam Newton. I don't know if I'm ready to call Cam Newton a miss yet for how they want to use him. It was a game that was bad. The turnovers were bad. So you really want to see him as a veteran have more discipline to not throw those, to not force those passes in there. But he did. So how does he respond after that second interception? Well, he didn't have any more turnovers, but I feel like He started taking the sacks and trying to scramble just a tiny bit more. His mechanics got off. You know, I just for this one, I more so don't feel like the game plan was adequate, and that they the coaches need to be putting these guys in some better positions. I don't feel like this was so much on Cam Newton as much as I feel like the coaching staff has to put them in. Like, what you have, and you can't coach beyond the skills that you have. And so if you know that Cam could get, we don't want Cam to throw the ball too much. We just want some dinks and donks. Then you got to stick to the run game. You got to stick to situations that give him the opportunity to do what he did against, the Washington football teams. We didn't get the victory, but in terms of the completion and the success. And I don't feel like that was all there today. Well, I would love you, Chris. You're able to see the light ahead of the tunnel when the rest of the fan base is blinded by anger like me. Yeah, it's not good. It's tough to watch. It's tough to come and report on, but I don't feel like this is a blow up situation. I've already talked about it, so unless I get another question, I won't stay on that too much. What do you think our overall struggles are? I really think our overall struggles. Everybody's young. Coaches are young. Players are young. And, for those of you who have children, that sometimes out of the blue, you just have this setback. And you're trying to get the kid together. You're trying to get them straight. You're trying to guide them. And I feel like Coach Rule is trying to do that. I feel like he has good stuff that he's saying. I feel like he has good things that he's trying. But it's a lot to get together. And this is the NFL, the toughest level of football there is on the planet. And they're playing against some other highly skilled people as well. And they're not winning those battles. So I think it's just maturity. I think it's just maturity that needs to happen throughout the organization to get us going. I don't think blowing us up is exactly what we need. The tweet that I'm referring to is we're number one in penalties. No discipline. Coaches always told me that falls back on them. They either coaching it or allowing it. Okay. Discipline. I'm thinking on this, Taylor. I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. Let me see if I can quickly find that tweet from Trey talking about discipline. Yeah, I don't want to take up too much time trying to find that tweet, but yeah. I hate to be so candid. It's live TV, so you guys get to see my response. These guys with these penalties, they had the DBO, which made guys run over and touch it. I wonder if they had that still in practice. So let me add this to my notes. Probably won't be able to get in all these questions to Coach Rule tomorrow, but I'm gonna try. All right. Appreciate it, Taylor. Appreciate it. Do you think we're going to trade for a veteran quarterback this offseason, Wilson, Rodgers, or Watson? I know we will be aggressive in going for a quarterback. I can't really say because right now it's still 5 weeks, still so many things to happen. Who's going to be a free agent? Who's not going to be a free agent? Who are we going to let go? What's the draft look like? I admit I don't know all those things, and then it also depends on how Cam plays out the rest of the season. I think if Cam plays out the rest of the season pretty well, that you will probably be more likely to want to build through the draft and getting that quarterback, get somebody young, somebody that you can have as a franchise and be here for a very long time. Deshaun Watson is, of course, attractive from a talent standpoint, but he does have some huge off the field questions to be answered, and those are not yet answered. You don't want to get a guy, spend a ton of money, spend a ton of draft picks, and then he can't play for a good portion of the season. So for me personally, too many questions before then where I can really answer that well. CMC good, but the best ability is availability, and we need picks. Wow, I like that. I like that. That is something that every guy in the NFL feels the pressure. Hey, your best ability is your availability, and when that gets taken away, there's trouble. And Christian is getting hurt, so I do. Again, I'm not saying I don't know all the contract stipulations, how much money we lose, and all that technical stuff, but just from the standpoint of knowing like that, Christian's a great running back, a great athlete. And if we can get a good offer from Christian that gives us a lot of holes to fill, then I don't feel like you lose everything in running backs. I mean, there's a reason that running backs aren't the highest paid, and they started getting lower and lower. They started trending back up a little bit with their pay, but running backs typically don't have a 10-year lifespan in the NFL. And so if you just start to look at this from a pure business standpoint, not, hey, I think Christian is trash, because it's not the case, but it's like strike when the iron's hot to maybe give this guy and get a bunch of other assets on the offensive line, maybe help you get a veteran quarterback, because honestly, the quarterback is way more important than the running back. The running back, well, everybody knows that. All right. So I appreciate that comment, Taylor. How is it Matt Jones knows the playbook, but we in week 3 and Cam still learning? Hey, Cam has a lot to learn. He came in without any training camp experience. I'm not mad at Cam for still having some more of that playbook to learn. Feel like we're in a dark place, Chris. We are in a dark place, and hey, my job is to make this entertaining and fun for you fans to continue to watch, and I promise you I'll keep doing so. I'm going to be here for you no matter what, win, lose, or draw. You see the shirt. I'm going to be here for you to make sense of it all and to give you hope. And hey, I'll be in that dark place with you, okay? You won't be in it alone. Can you ask Matt Rule why they signed Cam Irving and Pat Eflin day one of free agency and overpaid them? Now, I will say that Coach has been asked about what he saw in these guys in the preseason, and he said that they saw a good thing. So, Cam Irving not working out, Pat Eflin not exactly working out. It happens, It's not about the mistake. It's about how you move on from it. And I don't feel like Coach Rule is afraid to move on from something when it's not working, when he's given the opportunity to do so. Zai, you're just mad. I can't ask all those questions because you're mad, but I appreciate I'll be here to listen to him. And if he'd be interested in going back to college. James Woodley, first super chat of the day, $20. Hey, super chats are so important to this channel. We are 100% funded by all of you that's watching. So anytime that you can donate, contribute $1, $20, please do so. And I appreciate it so kindly as it helps me do what I love to do in covering this team. James Woodley, Matt Rule get a print off of the game plan from Brady and Snow for the game. He got out and practiced all week. On Friday, Matt signed off on it. Why Rule don't make adjustments as he preached in press conference? Why doesn't he make adjustments? I'm pausing because I'm trying to think about the adjustments that he could make. So, James, what adjustment would you like to see him make? Now, certainly they did make adjustments throughout the game with they pulled Cam toward the end of the game. What adjustments, James? Help me out. I'll come back to you. Last thing you want is players wanting to leave. I hope it doesn't come to that. Just Eric Rivera, and I'm assuming you're saying that because of the losses. If we continue to lose like we did today, there's going to when I say that Rivera, that Rule can stay, I think he should stay. Now, I'm not saying if the wheels on the bus fall off like this each and every week. I am assuming that there's going to be better games. We still might have this right here for this season, which I would be willing to accept considering all the circumstances of what is going on with the organizational change. Now, if the wheels on the bus fall off and we don't have this, we just have this, just straight down, serious conversation needs to be had about Matt Rule's future. And yes, players would not want to come back in that case. If I'm Hassan Reddick and we finish the season straight like this, I'm a Pro Bowler. There's other opportunities for me to be on teams that already have the culture that they're trying to build here at Carolina. then I'm gone. So KPM, this was the first time I watched a game in 4 years in which everyone looked lost out there. The players also seemed to give up with tempers boiling over. How do you think this affects the team? So, yeah, tempers can boil over and guys can give up, right? I don't think you have to worry about this affecting the team like on a week-to-week basis, just giving up and seeming to have that lack of effort out there. But I mean, because they're pros. I've seen it before where you have a game where they just give up. I have full confidence that they're going to come back, especially after the bye week, and they're going to be energized. They're going to have a good week of practice, and they'll give their effort against the next team. Whether or not we win or not, I'm not predicting that, but I don't feel like it's going to affect us. And certainly, if I see it happening, then I would say if that happens, then Coach Rule has to go. If you see like that the next game it starts off and they don't even have any energy, then yeah, coaching is the problem. You have to go. Let's just not turn into the new Jets. Our guys need some real leadership in each group. The accountability piece is missing. Nobody even fired up on the sidelines. Can't win like this. Appreciate your comment there, B. Evans. Think someone is getting fired tomorrow, Brady? No, I don't see anybody getting fired yet. I don't see anybody getting fired yet. You know, we got 5 games remaining. To me, if you're going to fire somebody, maybe do it in the middle. But at this point, I would foresee Matt Rule trying to influence coaching decisions and how things are played and telling them how they must do their job in terms of Brady, how he must call plays. Then I see him in releasing Brady. That's currently how I feel. I feel like we're too far in the season to do that. You just want to let the guys play the game out and maybe just try to go to take more control. Are you willing to give a draft grade for this class? That's something I appreciate that sizzle. That's something I've never done. It takes a lot of time to do something like that, but you know, if enough people ask for it, then I could certainly go back and go to give a grade for the draft. But that's something that I've never done before. And at this point, when you ask, I don't really have an answer. Let me go back to the comments. James Woodley, I'm hoping that you're still here so you can give me some clarity on that comment that you had. Meanwhile, hey, some questions that I have for Coach Rule tomorrow. You guys chime in. Let me know if you have anything that you want to add to it. So far, Coach wants to have mentioned a couple weeks ago, more than a couple weeks, probably a month ago at this point, about rushing the ball 35 times. We were far away from that, so I want to get some clarity on that. Second half, no points on the board at all. How does that happen? You know, he said they were out coached today, but that's a question I have for tomorrow. He's talked about this team panicking, and I'm curious if he feels like any of the troubles or any of the challenge has to do with how young this team is. And I think that's something that we forget about. And if that's one of the challenges that he's dealing with as he tries to keep this team winning. The other one was about don't beat ourselves. I believe the process was in the preseason that you run to that sign and touch it if you made a mistake. And I wonder if that's something that they have been doing as the season has continued. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm about to get off of here in just a second. Wow, was Terrace Marshall a healthy scratch today? That is a good question. I will ask Coach Rule that tomorrow. And Dennis Daly must be a good practice player compared to Brady Christensen. Yeah, and we don't get a chance to see practice anymore to give you some direct feedback on that, unfortunately. Here's one for Snow. When the defense has success of getting off pressure, how can we improve upon that to be consistent first through fourth quarter? Okay. Christensen had his best game, and you start Daly over him. You can't play musical chairs with the offensive line. Okay. All right, guys and girls, I got it. I have written down the questions for Coach Matt Rule tomorrow. I'm pretty sure I won't be able to get all these, but I will get in as many as I can. And then I'm going to come back on here live tomorrow. Please be sure to join me tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, where there's an hour-long show dedicated 100% to doing nothing but answering the questions that you all have. Hope to see you. I'm Chris Jenkins reporting for Charlotte Vibe. James Woodley, if you want to elaborate some more on that question or join me again tomorrow, I would love to get some clarity so I make sure that I answer that in full. That's all for tonight. Everybody enjoy their remainder of the Thanksgiving holiday, and I'll see you Monday.